I have a confession to make. I love Mary Poppins Returns. I also love the original Mary Poppins, so when they announced the sequel, I couldn't help but put my skepticism aside and be excited. And it's good that I did, because I had a great time with this movie. I loved the songs. The advancements in technology since the 60s allowed for even more inventive visuals, and this came out before the internet decided that Lin-Manuel Miranda was annoying, so I got to enjoy his performance with the proper amount of hype. But then there's this one moment towards the end, involving a wonderful cameo from Dick Van Dyke. You see, in the original Mary Poppins, Genital von Slur played a character called Bert, an active and lively man. But he also played the role of Mr. Dawes Sr., a banker so old he walked like every step could be his last. This casting was kept as a surprise, with it only being revealed that Dick played him in the credits. In Mary Poppins Returns, Dick plays Mr. Dawes Jr., the son of the old man from the first movie. And since Dick was also 90 years old in real life, he looked exactly like the old man costume he donned in the 60s. It is straight up delightful to see him on screen again, and it was such a fun way to incorporate his cameo. The main storyline in Mary Poppins Returns involves the bank wanting to repossess Michael's house, because Michael couldn't pay off a loan, which is bad. But Michael's dad, the late Mr. Banks, had some shares at the bank which could help him pay the debt, which is good. But they can't seem to find the share certificate, and when they do find it, it's been torn to shreds and one of the pieces is missing, so it's no longer valid. No shares means no money, and no money means no house. That's when Mr. Dawes Jr. comes along, strolling and skipping his way to the desk, and he tells a story. When Michael was a little boy, he only had 2 pence to his name. He gave those coins to his father, who then gave them to the bank, and the bank put those 2 pence into a savings account, and as the years went by, this money grew and grew, and the account amounted a huge sum of money, which Michael could now use to pay off his debt, saving the house. Yay! Happy ending! Everyone laughs and cheers and hugs, and we go to the finale song. That scene, that one scene at the bank, goes against everything the original movie said. Completely disregards it, destroys it, rips it apart, and throws it in the garbage. Everything Mary Poppins taught us was washed away by a storm of greed and enterprise, and we are left with only a sad, stained memory of the whimsy of yesteryear. I've been mulling over this for 7 years. It's time. I want to talk about how Disney killed Mary Poppins. Is that really what I'm naming the video? What a downer. Mary Poppins is a movie from the 1960s starring Julie Andrews, and it slaps. I'll admit, it took me a while to love this movie. I adore it nowadays, but when I first watched it as a kid, I found it supercalifragilisticexpialidocious boring. It meanders like a carousel with no set track, and that makes it kinda hard to describe what the movie is about. The easy answer is that it's about 2 kids, Jane and Michael, who are regarded as troublemakers even though they barely misbehave in the movie. Their father, a strict man called Mr. Banks, believes they are in need of a nanny, but while the dad wants someone stern, the kids want a kind and playful lady. Following the paper trails of the kids' wishes, Mary Poppins, a magical nanny who lives in the clouds, descends upon the Banks household and immediately starts straightening the kids up. However, her methods upset Mr. Banks because they involve a lot of play and imagination, and the man thinks those things are improper and useless. The first hour of the movie is just Mary messing around with the kids. She uses her powers to tidy up the nursery, they explore the cartoon world of a sidewalk drawing, they sing songs, they play games, and the father doesn't believe in half of it and hates it that the other half is happening at all. In fact, he is so cross that he is about to fire Mary Poppins, but she cleverly twists his own words and makes him think that what will really fix the kids is him taking them to the bank where he works so that they can learn more about his job. Mr. Banks thinks this was all his idea and that it's a wonderful idea, so he'll do just that. That's when the real story begins. Mary declares that she needs to get the children ready for the next day and heads upstairs to sing them a lullaby. She pulls out a snow globe depicting a cathedral that the father passes by every day, and sings about an old lady who sits by the steps of said cathedral. Every day, she heads there to sell bags of crumbs for 2 pence a bag, and calls for the passers-by to help her feed the birds. The song mentions that even the saints and apostles of the cathedral approve of her actions, and smile down at those who choose to help the old lady. Mary sings this song to prepare the kids for what they are about to see the next day. There was an earlier moment in the movie where Mary also sang them a lullaby to put them to sleep, which goes to show that she could have sung the one about the bird lady whenever she wanted, but she was saving it for this occasion. She knew the kids would need that message now more than ever. On the next day, Mr. Banks takes the kids to the bank where he works, and on their way there, the kids see the bird lady in real life. They point her out to the dad, but he doesn't see her at first, because he thinks she is irrelevant and thus ignorable. But the kids insist, and Michael pulls out all the money he has to his name. Exactly 2 pence. He wants to use the money to buy some crumbs to feed the birds, just like Mary Poppins was singing about. The dad, however, is absolutely against this idea and does not let Michael spend that money. Instead, he drags the kids inside the bank and says to the teller that they're there to open a savings account. At this point, some super old banker shows up like, "Did somebody say money?" and starts singing a song about the importance of putting your money in the bank. You see, if you invest your tuppence in the bank, that tuppence will be reinvested in all sorts of businesses, and your money is going to grow and grow, giving you more and more power. Those are the 2 sides at play here: feeding the birds or investing in the bank, doing the kind thing or the lucrative thing. If you invest your money, you'll be rich in cash but poor in spirit. If you feed the birds, your tuppence won't grow into monstrous sums, but it will bring happiness into the world. This is what Mary Poppins wanted to teach those children. Michael does not want to invest his tuppence in the bank. He sees no point in becoming some industrious magnate. He just wants to feed the birds. He wants the whimsy, the playful, the empathetic choice. Mr. Dawes Sr. tries to take the money from Michael, but he doesn't let him, which starts a kerfuffle at the bank and the children flee. This experience leaves the kids pretty traumatized. What they learned from it is that their father does not listen to them and does not see them for who they are. They don't want to be rich and soulless, they want to be simple and kind. But that choice is framed as the wrong one by the people in power. And then they run into Bert and do some cocaine and dance to Step in Time. When everyone finally makes it home, the dad is very upset at the children for disobeying him. But then he gets a call. The bankers found the kerfuffle from earlier to be most disgraceful, and they are going to fire Mr. Banks. Crestfallen and disillusioned, the dad blames it all on Mary Poppins and her nonsense ideas, but then Bert knocks some sense into him by quoting the nanny herself. One of the songs Mary Poppins sings is about how a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. In other words, a little bit of fun can make any hardship more tolerable. With her magic and games, she was trying to show the children how to make life more enjoyable. Life is the medicine. Awful but necessary. The spoonful of sugar is the fun and whimsy you sprinkle into your own life. Laughing with friends, even if the jokes aren't all that funny. stopping to appreciate art even if the rain will wash it all away, feeding the birds even if it stops you from investing your tuppence. Bert also points out that life is short, and before Mr. Banks knows it, his kids will have grown into adults that are as bitter and joyless as their father, and he won't have a chance to offer them that spoonful of sugar anymore. He won't be able to share moments of fun and care with them. The kids come downstairs to apologize, and Michael gives the tuppence to his father as an attempt to mend their wrongs. Mr. Banks then walks silently to his job, stopping by the cathedral, but the old lady isn't there. Bert was right. Life is short, and if you don't seize the small opportunities to have fun, they will be gone before you know it, and everything will feel hopeless. As the bankers fire him, something within him clicks. He starts laughing, telling the jokes that his children had taught him, singing the songs that Mary Poppins sang, using her nonsense words. Mr. Banks found his whimsy, and it's contagious. Mr. Dawes Sr., the very head of the bank, finds his jokes so funny he laughs and floats into the air. Before he leaves the bank, the father hands Mr. Dawes the tuppence in a gesture of defiance. In doing so, he is pointing out how petty this whole thing is. All of this started because of 2 miserable coins, which feel so small upon the old man's grasp. In the hands of the bank, the tuppence are meaningless. It's just cash. Mr. Banks has found what really matters and goes back home to fly a kite with his children. The bank is bad. It's the antagonist of the movie. It is personified as the bankers, this greedy mass singing about investments and capital, so trenched in the big picture they lost sight of what's truly important. Michael doesn't want to play any part in it. He just wants to feed the birds, which is shown to be the correct choice. Mary Poppins approves, the heavens approve, and if you don't take the chance to do it while you can, that light will fade away, and you will be left in the dark. The movie plays a lot with the idea of perspective. Drawings on the sidewalk can look like silly doodles, or like a cartoon world come to life, depending on who looks at them. Jokes can be hilarious if you're in the right company, or they can fall flat if you tell them to the wrong audience. 2 pence is not a lot of money. It's insignificant unless it grows through investment, but it's also enough to spark a riot. For a child, it's a whole fortune. For the bird lady, it's her livelihood. For Michael, it's a spoonful of sugar. But for the bank, 2 pence is just another coin to toss into the vault. It's not enough as it is. It's only valuable because it's a promise, the potential to grow into a huge accumulation of interest. This mirrors how the world sees children. They are nothing but the promise of growing into a productive adult. Mary Poppins shows the kids that they are important just as they are, much like the tuppence can be endless wealth. But in the hands of the bank, men grow into joyless workers, and money becomes just numbers. All medicine and no sugar. Then we get to Mary Poppins Returns. This new movie is set about 20 years after the original one. Mr. Banks has passed away, and Jane and Michael have grown into adults. Michael inherited the house, got married, and had 3 kids. But his wife also died, and now he feels frozen in grief. A while ago, Michael's family took out a loan during a time of financial trouble, and now the bank is demanding he pay it back in full, or they will take the house. This is what the movie is about. There's also a problem with the kids. Every adult in their life is a mess, so the 3 of them grew up too fast, and forgot the joys of being whimsical. Mary Poppins descends from the heavens once again to teach the kids a thing or two about fun. Then there's the bank, which is evil. Like, cartoonishly evil. The bank is run by Colin Firth, whatever his name is in the movie, and he is Mr. Dawes Jr.'s nephew. Colin Firth is pretending to help Michael, but he's secretly doing everything he can to make sure that man loses his house. It's a bit more on the nose than in the first movie. In the original, we understood the bank was bad because it stood in opposition to feeding the birds. But all the bank did was just regular bank things. Invest money, have shareholders. It's the inherent evils of capitalism. In Mary Poppins Returns, Colin Firth is breaching contracts and burning documents. He's cheating, he's going against the rules. He's evil not because the system is evil, but because Colin Firth in particular is a nasty individual. Like I explained at the start of the video, Mr. Banks had some shares in the bank, which might help Michael pay off his debt and keep the house. The family spends most of the movie looking for the share certificate, but when it's found, it's incomplete, and it looks like Colin Firth won. That's when old Mr. Dawes Jr. shows up and tells the story of how Michael had 2 pence, which he gave to his father, who gave them to the bank, who used it to open a savings account under Michael's name, and the Tuppence, safely invested in the bank, did compound. This money grew into a sum large enough to let Michael keep the house. So, what the movie is saying is that Michael should have invested the money. Investing the money was the correct moral choice. Screw that old lady and her dirty birds. Put your money in the bank and watch it grow, baby. Get that bag. There's no way around it. That savings account, the one Michael refused to open in the original movie because he wanted to feed the birds, is what saved his house. If nobody had invested the Tuppence, Michael and his family would be homeless. Which leads me to another problem. Should we keep the house? Michael's wife died, and he doesn't want to move out of the house because he sees her everywhere in it. The memories are almost too painful to face, but they are all he has left, and the house is intrinsically tied to these recollections. There's a scene where he breaks down and starts to cry, overwhelmed by the possibility of losing the house where his wife once lived. But his kids sing him a lullaby that Mary Poppins taught them. The song talks about how no one is truly gone for good, because they live on in your heart, in the love you felt for them. Michael thus realizes that his late wife is still with them. He sees her in their children's faces, the way they smile, the way they walk and talk and play. The wife is not bound to the house, but instead to the love they share as a family. So, thematically, we don't need the house. It would make sense for them not to keep the house. The house is just a thing, and life is not about things. It's not about investments or real estate. It's about memories and joyful moments. Again, it's a matter of perspective. A cheap knockoff porcelain bowl can be priceless because someone loved it. A big fancy house can be worthless once you realize the worth lies in the people who live in the house and not the building itself. So, it would make sense for them to lose the house. Narrative sense, that is. I know having a house is nice, but they could rebuild their life in a new home, make more memories, carry on. But no, they keep the house, because the Tuppence was invested in the bank. When Michael was clearing out the furniture in preparation to leave the house behind, his neighbors gather around him and say that the family will always have a place to stay if they need one. They exchange gifts and well wishes, and we see that Michael has a loving community of people who are always prepared to help him. But this community means nothing. They don't save him, they don't help him move on. The only thing that saves him is money. The worst part? I don't think any of this was intentional. I don't think the writers of Mary Poppins Returns deliberately set out to contradict and destroy the original. I think they just wanted a Dick Van Dyke cameo and a callback to those Tuppence the dad left with the banker, because they were so iconic in the first movie. They just wanted to play into your nostalgia. But by going with the most low-effort, cash-grabby story they could, they created this mess of a moral. Because, well, it's ingrained into the way we live. It's what we think is logical, obvious, correct. Without thinking, the writers perpetuated a harmful idea. Because it's this idea that rules our lives and our philosophy. It takes effort to make something transgressive, because without that effort, you just reinforce the status quo. It's not like the original Mary Poppins is perfect either. I feel like it kind of fumbles the bag a little at the end. After all is said and done, and the dad has realized where true happiness lies, and the whole family comes together to fly a kite, giving into joy and whimsy and enjoying life to the fullest, the dad runs into the other bankers, who are also out flying kites. They tell Mr. Banks that Mr. Dawes Sr. thought the joke was so funny that he died of laughter, leaving an opening for a new partner, and Mr. Banks is now being rehired and promoted to that position. It's presented as a wonderful thing, but to me, it's kind of a downer. Mr. Banks is the one with the real character arc in the movie. Mary Poppins is there to save him just as much as she's saving the children. He's just had that whole change of heart, realizing life is about seizing the day and giving into small pleasures, laughing in the face of those who try to diminish him, leaving that heartless world of accounting and investments behind, only to be sucked right back into it. I think we're supposed to get the idea that the bank itself is less evil now because the owners of the bank are also out flying kites, showing that they too understand the value of whimsy. But then we cut to 20 years later and the bank is even more evil than before. Sure, the big bad banker ruining everything was just Colin Firth, and when Mr. Dawes Jr. steps back into the role of chairman, he says he'll do things differently, but look at that guy. He is one common cold away from perishing. And when he is gone, his nephew or someone equivalent will go right back to ruining everything. Besides, the original Mary Poppins understood that the real harm lied in the system. It's not a matter of who runs the bank, it's the bank itself. Once again, we have a movie that falls into the trap of thinking that replacing a bad capitalist with a good capitalist will solve everything, when the true problem runs much deeper. Mary Poppins knew where her loyalties lied. She hung out with street peddlers and chimney sweeps, not bankers and investors. Her friends lived in shady alleyways and run-down tenements, not fancy Cherry Lane houses. She couldn't change the whole system, just a few impressionable minds. But they are left much happier and wiser now that they had met her. I still love Mary Poppins Returns, despite this whole crap. But I love it thoughtlessly, playfully, because if I think about it too hard, I want to burn it down. Dick Van Dyke cameo and all. In the end, this whole ordeal just makes me celebrate the original even more. Disney might try, with all their power, to convince us that the new thing is better, and that the past is full of mistakes that should be written over and forgotten about. That the flaws of anything original should be sanded down until it all blends together, smoothed into a mirror that reflects nothing but the status quo. But I would much rather learn from a complex past than from a meaningless present. And I don't know about you, but I know exactly how I would spend my tuppence. Thank you for watching. Well, hello there. It was very nice of you to watch this video. Special thanks to my beautiful patrons for making videos like these possible. You guys are the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. If you have enjoyed the video, you can also help me out by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell too. You can also follow me on a bunch of different places, such as Blue Sky, the website formerly known as Twitter, and my second channel. The link to all those things will be in the description. Share this video with your friends if you're feeling extra generous. Feel free to leave a comment down below, especially if it is about how much you love Mary Poppins. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! In these trying times of AI slop, we should all strive to be more like Bert.
A scriber's an artist of highest degree, and it's all me own work from my own memory.